I am very sensitive to the energy. That's why I'm just taking it in for a second.
Yeah, that was a lot just now.
So I am a elementary teacher, and I've been teaching for 15 years, and I enjoy it a lot. And this last year, I had the pleasure of teaching second grade. And I must say that the kids are they're different. And honestly...
Do you think it's because they're coming into their own?
Yes, and I was going to say that I actually felt that way as a kid as well, growing up. Yeah. That was me. But my approach, and I thought about this, but my approach, growing up in New York, was to not cause any problems. My approach was to be quiet and just conform, and it helped me make it through. And so in teaching now these kids, they are just showing me that I don't have to be quiet anymore.
You better get on the leading edge if you're going to teach them, because that's where they are.
And what's funny is that is exactly where I was going to go, because I'm very sensitive to their energy, and I feel their energy. I feel their excitement, and I want that. And so my question to you is, how can I be more childlike? How can I, in my adult form right now, I live across the street in La Jolla, how can I, in this moment, be more like those kids coming in?
Well, let's examine what the obvious elements of them are. So, we're just talking about behavior, but the behavior is driven by their vibrational stance. So, let's see if we can identify what stands out about them in comparison with adults, for example. And some of them even act a little more like their parents, and some of them a little less. So what is the predominant personality trait or characteristic that you see or that you've noticed that shows up like even in the first day of your meeting them?
Total excitement, joy in the moment, continuous.
So it's in the moment. So are you saying that they are taking in their surroundings? They're not necessarily influenced by them, but are they more interested in what's around them or who's around them? Are they more interested in things on the wall, things that you're presenting to them verbally, or are they more interested in each other?
Each other, the interaction.
Isn't that interesting? They're interested in each other because that's alive, that's energy flowing, that's dynamic, that's co-creative. Now think about most classrooms and how they are taught to behave. Take your attention off of what is most interesting and put it upon what is least interesting. Let's squelch what is real and let's pretend that what isn't real is. Let's look at books and boards and let's use words. Meanwhile, there's all this energy flowing. Because, you know what? They each have an inner being who is, if you could see a visual, it would be like a happy dog with his tongue hanging out and his tail wagging. In other words, so eager for the interaction, eager for the opportunity to engage and uplift.
And the funny thing is, you're correct, because the ones who are most in tune are the ones that can't shut up in class. Because you're right.
Because they're in the flow. They're being stimulated, and they've got the energy that creates worlds flowing through them, and they want to express, and they want to explain, and they want to talk. And so the ideal classroom would be one where everyone talks all the time. All the time. That would be the ideal one. And so you're in a predicament.
Yes.
Because you're bound by some rules. But you can have those free-flowing times. In other words, if we were standing in your physical shoes, we'd say to them, you know what? I remember feeling like you, and you've got the right idea, and I think we should talk all the time. I think the thing that's most interesting in this room is you and you and you and you and you and you and you. And you know what I think is even more interesting? When you and you get together, when you and you get together, when you and you get together. Because you're interesting on your own, but you're not nearly as interesting as when you and you are together. Point out to them how you are really enjoying the dynamics of what they all make together. And then say to them, and I've been asking myself, how can I get the most out of all of this? And I've decided I want to be one of you. I want this to be conversation. I want this to be interaction. I want us to be who we are. Now, maybe you can use the words. It depends on who they are and what they will hear, but you can find words that they can hear. Words like, I think there's a special reason that we are all together. And it isn't just because of where you live and what age you are. It's bigger than that. And I can feel something so great about this bunch of us. This bunch of us. And the minute I walked into this room, I knew I wanted to be part of this bunch of us. I felt more the minute I walked in because of who each of you are. So, oh yeah, we're going to learn stuff. We're going to learn stuff from the books. We're going to learn stuff from the computers. I'm going to tell you stuff that you don't want to know. We're going to learn stuff. But mostly what this is going to be about is the fun of getting to know each other. Mostly that's what it's going to be. And once you go with the flow of what is natural to them, then you could pick any topic. You could pick any topic and get, how many are there? 20, 30? How many of you are there in the room?
25.
So when you get that many free-flowing minds focused, wonderful things happen. Insights happen.
Mm.
You could say to them things like, because they're old enough to really get this. Everybody talks about how the children are our future. And I say blah, 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 blah. Because it's not what you're going to know that I'm interested in. It's what you now know. It's the discoveries that we make together that are more exciting to me than the discoveries that somebody else has already made that we're just supposed to remember and mimic. Help them feel that this is a place where their creative juices can flow. And don't you already feel more alive? Don't you already feel more kid-like just talking about this in this way?
Just experience with them and actually just seeing some of the things that they do. For example, all the kids have laptops, and like on Fridays, it's Fun Friday, and so they get to play on, whatever, websites they want, which is their choosing, and so usually, I do teacher work while they're doing that. So 2 minutes into it, so they're on their laptops, 2 minutes into it, half the class is coming up to me saying, what are we going to do next? And I'm like, you didn't even start doing it. So I'm feeling their excitement for what, like they're already thinking about the next thing. And so
they're also wanting to pull you in because they know that you're doing teacher stuff. And they know you don't want to.
Gotcha. There it is. I got it.
They're trying to get you to engage in the fun. And you're going to hear words coming out of you like, that's brilliant, that's exactly right. You'll hear yourself saying, I wonder if anybody has ever thought that thought before. I've never heard anybody express that just that way before. You may be the very first one that ever thought that thought. Let me write that down. I'm going to write that down. I'm going to remember this day. I'm going to remember when I think the first person ever thought that thought. In other words, what you're encouraging is the in-the-momentness of their genius collaboration. And, you can weave some of the other stuff in too if you want to. But that's what really matters. You see, there is nothing more not life-giving than to be a presenter and a promoter of old news. Of old news. It's the new stuff that they're interested in. They're always asking, what's next, what's next, what's next, what's next? So if you can weave the future into everything that you're talking about, they'll engage. And you'll have fun. Yeah. Something more?
Yeah, one more. So how do I then so when I leave school, I don't have any kids. When I leave school, how do I maintain that energy in the adult world? I think I've tried to do it where because I follow my kids and I say, what's next? So literally, like over the last couple of weeks, I'm like, what's next? And I just think about it and I can go to the beach. Or last weekend, I just said, what's next? And I went to Vegas. Is that kind of that mentality of just do it because I feel it? Is that?
Allow yourself to follow your impulses, because that's what they're showing you. They don't want to be rigid. And you've sort of trained yourself in the classroom and in life to sort of do what's expected. And it's the unexpected that's fun, because that's where the leading edge is. It's the new discoveries that are fun. It's the doing the things that you're not accustomed to doing. It's the approaching life from a different vantage point. And it will help you. If we were you, we would say, why this now? Because what's happening is the universe is delivering to you, to all of you. Clue isn't the right word, but pieces of what you want. And when you don't ignore it, but you pick up the piece, there's momentum in it that will lead to more and more and more and more. And at first glance, it doesn't look like it amounts to much. But if you will let yourself go anyway, it will become bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. This conversation really is about human learned behavior to squash enthusiasm. What's natural to you is to ramp it up. And so watch these kids. Watch how they don't try to squash enthusiasm. And when you're not the squasher, then there won't be one in there. There won't be one in there. Well, there's that one kid whose mother's really done a number on her. But for the most part, there won't be one. And so you'll find yourself not squashing your own impulses with common sense, right behavior, right action. In other words, we use words like going with the flow, but when you trust that the universe knows who you are and knows what you want, and you let yourself go with what it is handing you, trusting that it will be more, not stepping back, not trying to be wise, but go with what it is handing you and ask the question, why this now? Why this now? Pretty soon, the answer is going to start occurring to you, because you deserve it, and because this is the next logical step, and because this will lead to more, and this will lead to more, and this will lead to more. And it's the more that you want, because you are an unsatisfied being. You will never be satisfied. You will never be satisfied. It will never be enough. You will never be satisfied. You gotta let the flow go, and you gotta keep the flow going, and you gotta enjoy the flow while it's going. And if the energy is flowing and you hold back, that flowing energy will beat you up. And that's what makes you say, I want to be more like the kids, because the energy doesn't beat them up. They don't even let you beat them up. You say, be quiet, and they say, okay, but they're not. You say, don't do that, and they say, okay, but they keep doing it. Nothing's going to stop their flow, because the momentum of it is strong enough. In time, they'll start to bog down. They'll start to act like their parents and act like responsible citizens. And then later, they'll come and see us. And we'll talk them back into being the joyful kids that they were born to be. Yeah, really good. Really good.